Your body has the ability to defend itself. Right now, what's going on with COVID-19, it's not the virus, it's the health of the host. How healthy are you? And depending on how healthy you are, that's how vulnerable that you're gonna be. It doesn't matter if you're 70 years old, it doesn't matter if you're 30 years old. If you're someone who is not healthy, that means you are immune compromised. That means that you will be at risk of anything.
Every journey begins with a step. It's all in the realm of possibility. So here's a question. Why not me?
Why not me?
Feel better. We call these breakthroughs, and you will absolutely have a breakthrough moment yourself. There's never a dull moment. Hi, everyone. It's Brent Payne, and I want to thank you very much for joining us. And we're going to dive into some topics that are really on people's mind right now. With all the at-risk talk, we really want to explore ways that you can stay out of that category. And I've got a very special guest online with me today. And, one of the products that I love, it's actually a product that my company developed. It's a product called Within. And the gentleman I have online with me right now is a guy who helped us develop it. He is a formulator. His name is Sanjeev Javia, and he is the founder of Javia Wellness Group. So we really want to dive in and talk about cellular regeneration and cellular health, which is one of his specialties, and really talk about what we can do individually to protect ourselves, not only from what is happening right now today with this crazy COVID-19 stuff, but in the future with EMF and toxins and free radicals that get in our system. So without further ado, I want to bring Sanjeev out. Sanjeev, how the heck are you, man?
Hey, Brent, I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm having a great time.
You're always having a great time. That's one thing I love about you. Every time I talk to you, you're always on top of the world, man.
Hey, anytime I'm 6'2" above ground, I'm having a fantastic day, okay?
I've never been 6'2" above ground. I'm only 5'11". Oh, that's awesome. Well, hey, thank you for being here with us today. We certainly do appreciate it. I know that you've got a ton of experience around what we're going to talk about. And so if it's okay with you, I just want to dive right into it. But before I do you mind just coming out and just sharing with everyone who you are, what you do, and what your experience is?
Yeah, you bet. So I've been formulating nutritional supplements for about 18 years now. And I am degreed in biology and biopsychology, but I kind of got into nutrition in a little kind of unstrategic way. I actually got into the business of nutrition and supplementation. Then I did the formulation. And I started my first company about 15 years ago and developed a whole line of products for professional athletes. That was kind of my claim to fame is I've got about 300 professional athletes under my belt. Whenever you're kind of formulating for that group, you have to go above and beyond as far as some of the research and some of the quality standards, some of the testing and such. And so that kind of that's a really big thing for me, because in dietary supplements, it's really difficult to figure out, what products are great, because there's so much stuff you can do with marketing and labeling. So I kind of pride myself. I've developed 87 products so far in all sorts of stuff, from performance products all the way to disease management, and the cornerstones of each of those formulations. And that's why I'm so honored to be part of this team to formulate this product, was all about, research, really looking at the pathology of what happens in the body and how nutrition and nutrient helps. And so that's a bit of my background and kind of principles in what I do.
I had no idea you've worked with 300 athletes and you formulated 87 products.
Yeah, through that kind of journeys, 87 products, and been able to really work with, some really high-end athletes, high-profile athletes. But really, honestly, Brent, it's not so much the athlete, it's what you said earlier, which was some of us are focused on how to survive, when really this is an opportunity to look at how you can thrive.
Yes.
And I think that's what we've always talked about, Brent, is that how could we develop a product? How could we put a set of ingredients together? How could we develop a concept that allowed individuals to truly thrive, to perform, to enhance their quality of life?
So let's talk about that. I know that you've developed a ton, 87 different products. I'm sure you don't take all of them, but when we came to you and we said, hey, we've got some key ingredients, but we need help. Can you help us formulate this? And we want this to be one of the best products, if not the best product in this line in the world.
That's when I got super excited and said, okay, listen, there's a lot of things that people don't jump on when they look at formulation, which is how can you actually build a better ingredient? And how you do that is by providing it all of its supporting factors. And so that's what you actually see in the formulation is you see, yes, one, if not the most powerful avenue to get the production of NAD, but then you get all of the cofactors that allow a greater production of that, as well as other nutrients that's shown in the cycle of what NAD does to. So when you get all that, you can't help to be a guy like me who's going to call you and say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that it's out and I use it, every day, every morning. I take it on an empty stomach because I want to feel it. Okay, yeah. There isn't any athlete, there isn't any doctor, there isn't any family member that I don't tell this formula about, because it's not just NAD. And I know we'll get into it, but I mean, you really have to take a look at this formulation. It is the most comprehensive NAD-based product that's on the market, no question.
The product that we're referring to is our product called Within, which you helped formulate. First of all, how long did it take before you noticed the effects, and what are the effects that you personally are feeling?
So for me, it was the first time that I took it, is when I felt something. And so I know that NAD, like other nutrients, has some pulsing. And what I mean by that is that our bodies will have lower levels of NAD at certain times of the day. And so therefore I kind of work my nutrients based on that. Well, I know that NAD has a dip in the morning and has a dip in the afternoon. So I said, okay, well, the first time that I'm going to take it is I'm going to take it first thing in the morning. So it kind of relates, by the way, to your cortisol levels. And so your cortisol is high in the morning. I knew that. So I took my NAD and I go to work out. That's the first thing I do from an active state in the morning. And it was like an energy boost, but more importantly, it was like a cognitive boost. Okay, right? It was like a clearing of the mind. And that clearing of the mind is what allowed me to feel the energy, because it's different than taking like a central nervous stimulant like caffeine or something. That's tricking the body into feeling that it has energy, right? But when you truly have mental clarity, or all of those toxins that are built up through the night, because that's what happens, right? Your nighttime, you build up all this toxins. And when you have the ability to truly neutralize those toxins and eliminate from the body, your body gets this clearing. And the first place that gets that clearing is the mind. And then that's what I truly kind of felt.
So the key ingredient that we are referring to is NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide. And what really attracted us to that molecule originally was the anti-aging properties and the cell regeneration, because that seemed to be on everyone's mind. They want to look younger, they want to feel younger, they want to recover faster. But you're experiencing clarity. It's really helping the mind and the brain.
Well, here's the reason why. Because the first place that I'm going to actually feel something is going to be, it's going to be in the brain for me. And I think that for most people too. And the reason why is because remember what NAD is doing. NAD is a element or a nutrient that the cell's engine called the mitochondria needs. It's fuel. So when you give the mitochondria its fuel, it then is able to perform and run the engine. Well, one of the things that produces from running the engine is detoxification. So therefore, you get this detoxification of the most fundamental unit of the body, which is the cell. So the one place that you're going to feel, for me, very quickly, that detoxifying element is when I detoxify those cellular units that are in my brain.
It's amazing. So NMN, this key ingredient that is in our product within, along with an entire host of all these other vitamins and nutrients and minerals that you've put in, which I think is awesome. You could replace your daily vitamins with this, couldn't you?
Well, I mean, let's look at it, right? Somebody asked me the other day, they said, well, what are the key nutrients that you should take on a fundamental foundational basis? You know, outside of the macronutrients like fiber and things like that, let's look at the micronutrients. Well, no question, B vitamins are the most needed nutrient set because they get degraded so quickly because they're so vulnerable to light and to heat, to activity, things like that. And do remember, when you don't have B vitamins, you don't have the ability to take carbohydrates and turn it into energy. That's why later on in the afternoon, you often feel a little dip in energy. It's because you don't have the B vitamins. They've been broken down all day through the fluorescent light, through activity, through maybe some of the foods that you're consuming, coffee, things like that. And now all of a sudden, all those carbohydrates that you consumed in the afternoon are not able to be turned on into energy because there isn't those B vitamins. So you have an entire B vitamin complex in within. Secondly, is that you hear right now, especially the huge importance of vitamin D. Vitamin D is so important that now it is now must be on every nutritional label. More important than vitamin C. Okay, right? Before it was vitamin C was on every nutritional label. Now it's vitamin D. You have that. You have superoxide dismutase. You have your body's most powerful antioxidant. You have 3 primary antioxidants. All of these things like vitamin C, quercetin, resveratrol, green tea, they're called secondary antioxidants. They are next in line to what your body is going to destroy free radical stress. Well, your body has 3 primary antioxidants. One of them is superoxide dismutase. That's also in within. And then on top of that, you have the single most important nutrient to run energy, which is NMN, which then produces NAD. So in essence, yes, if somebody wanted to say, listen, I want the foundational fundamental nutrients that I needed on a daily basis, the within would fill that gap.
Let's talk about NMN. We searched the world over, literally, with your help, with other scientists' help, to find the purest, best quality of NMN. And it was tough. What are your thoughts on the purity of NMN?
Yeah, so sourcing is so key in producing a fantastic product and a superior product and a well-tested product and something that is consistent over long runs. And see, because there's not a lot of regulation in the dietary supplement space, you can really get a lot of products out there that have tainted ingredients or have less potent ingredients, and you wouldn't know. You don't know the difference between a 95% purity, a 97% purity, or even a 50% purity, because you don't even have to list any of that on the label. Right. And so one of the things that when you brought the team together is you said, listen, I want to make sure that every one of the ingredients that we use in within is well documented, it's well tested, and it has the greatest percentage of potency and purity that we could find. And yeah, it took a long time, and it took a long time. It took a little, some roads in which we thought we were getting one thing and we didn't because we tested it ourselves. And so, and I think that's the level, that's the things, Brent, that people don't see in a formula that is unfortunate, because they are comparing an apple to an orange and they're thinking it's just an apple to an apple. And when they look at pricing or they look at dosage levels or they look at whatever, and they just kind of look and they say, oh, Brent, that doesn't make any sense. Within is a few extra dollars than this one. And then you kind of go down the road of like, okay, well, did they test their products? Is there any potency testing there? Is there any other synergistic nutrients in there? How do they measure the quality? What was their manufacturer? Is their manufacturer a GMP all of those things don't get noted on the label, but it does get noted when you take it. Okay, right? And so yes, it was incredibly difficult to find the high quality source, but fortunately we were able to find not only a high quality source, but a very consistent source and a great large organization to work with, and not just kind of one of these one-off groups, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we ordered some and they guaranteed it was 98+% pure. And we sent it to the lab and it came back 43% pure. It's like, how can you even get away with this stuff? But yeah, we test everything. We test it when we get it, and we test it after the product's manufactured. And I'm proud to say we've got the purest NMN on the planet right now.
For us, we have a lot riding on it, not only because as a company, you know, you guys have built everything with such a high level of credibility, but then we also have athletes and we have doctors who are putting their career on the line, either in the way that it needs to perform,
Mm-hmm.
or secondly, that if there is anything that is tainted and in the product that's not supposed to be in the product, not on the label, that would be a major, major issue. And so, you know, to know that a product is in those hands and it stood their level of quality assurance and testing says a lot for everyone else.
Okay, the question that a lot of people ask, they always want to know, side effects. Are there any?
You know, I think that the one side effect that I've kind of heard or feel is that I take it on an empty stomach sometimes, okay, right, or all the time actually, and I feel energized, and like that energizing feeling can be a little bit different than what you're used to feeling. But that's the only type of side effect that I've personally seen or I've heard of. All of the nutrients that are in the dosages have, in my 18 years of experience, and I've formulated with all of them, I've used all of them, not together, but individually, have never shown any significant side effect at all. If you're new to taking supplementation and you're sensitive to taking supplementation, then you may want to acclimate to a product like this, because I will say that we did not spare any dosage. We did not spare any purity and potency. We did not spare any combination of ingredients. I mean, it is power packed. It is those individuals that are looking for a real powerful and serious supplement.
So Sanjeev, let me ask you this. There's been some conversation out there, some debate between NMN and NR, nicotinamide mononucleotide, between that and nicotinamide riboside. What's your take on that?
There's a significant amount of research from obviously Harvard and Dr. Sinclair that shows that NMN is the one that he uses in his studies, and he feels that it is most bioavailable to produce NAD. And the only research that's shown with NR is from the ingredient source. It has been shown that NMN is most closely related to NAD. NR has to be reassembled in a major way to produce NAD+, while NMN doesn't have to do that, which any less variable to the reconstruction of NAD, the better that I feel that it is.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but everything else that you've added into the formula, along with the NMN, is also CoQ10, PQQ. It's really like the accelerant. You know, I know when I take, like I've taken NMN products before, pure NMN, but when I take within, it's way different for me. Way different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, the reason for that is because let's look at it something very simply is look at food, look at nature.
Mm-hmm.
In nature, there's never one ingredient. There's always this synergistic combination of all of these nutrients working together, acting as activators, acting as neutralizers, acting as elements that help for bioavailability and utilization and things like that. So the reason why people don't take that concept to the next area of nutrition, which is supplementation, and I'm not trying to say that this is better than food. I'm just trying to say that at the very end of the day, some of the nutrients that you're getting from supplementation, especially within, are very difficult to get from food. That's why we have to develop products like this to have the level of nutrient that you need and those nutrients. But then you should still take the concept of what nature gives you and says, okay, I'm going to take this nutrient called NMN, and I am then going to put all of these other cofactors around it that allow it to be not only producing NAD+, but more importantly, also acting in other pathways and other elements to help to promote the benefit that I'm looking for. And remember, the benefit that we're looking for is this concept, if you will, of anti-aging. And what we're actually trying to say is, yes, from a common nomenclature, I have to say anti-aging, but really what it is, it's how do I create greater cell resiliency? How do I create greater cell strength? How am I able to allow cells to live longer, younger? That's what you're trying to do. So if that's what you're trying to do, well, NAD is one part of that, but so is B vitamins. So is CoQ10. You know, on one hand, you can say, well, NAD is found in every cell of the body. And some researchers, I just read a research paper the other day that said that NAD is like oxygen to the cell because it's found in every cell and cannot function without it. Well, so is CoQ10.
Right.
We have CoQ10. So those are the things you kind of have to really look at when you look at this formulation is you say, okay, well, wait a second. It's almost like what we did was we developed a cellular resiliency regenerative product that happened to use NAD. And that's a wonderful place because now it's not just one product that has one ingredient, and then you better hope that that one ingredient, you better have all of the other things that your body needs to make that thing work. And I'm not betting on it. You didn't want to bet on it. You said to me, hey, Jeevers, when we put this thing together, when we put Within together, I want you to look at the lowest common denominator out there. Look at that 50, 60, 70-year-old individual who has a 90% decline in NAD, and that's why they have this type of aging. And then what are the other things that they're also deficient in? Yes, they're deficient in copper. Yes, they're deficient in selenium. Yes, they're deficient in vitamin D. We'll add those things along with it so that I can give them a truly comprehensive formula. That's what makes the product. That's what makes Within truly unique.
I appreciate your knowledge and your wisdom. You know, as you mentioned, you work with a lot of athletes, pro golfers, football players. I mean, from extreme sports, and the benefit that they're seeing is pretty amazing. You kind of alluded to it earlier, recovering faster. I'm actually seeing some interesting benefits. I'll talk about that in 1 second. I want to get your opinion on this. So you mentioned giving oxygen to the cells. And so when we see what's really happening, obviously there's a lot of athletes that are taking Within right now and they're seeing great results, but they're pro athletes. They're really demanding top performance of their bodies. What about the average Joe? I mean, what could the average person, like, are you confident enough in this product to give it to the ones you love, your family, and what can they expect to experience from it? Like, to me, I think you can't necessarily always know or feel what Within is doing within your body. It's cell rejuvenation. What would they experience, or what could they experience? So 2 questions. Are you confident to give this to the people that you truly love? And secondly, what could the average Joe experience from that?
You bet. So Within is taken by my dad, who's 80 years old, my sister, who's 48 years old, my brother-in-law, who's 50 years old. My brother-in-law and sister, they both run 3 dental practices. They've got 2 high schoolers. They're on the go. My sister's on 2 boards. My brother-in-law is a faculty member at Spears Dental. I mean, we are on the go family. We're always challenging ourselves. We're always doing more. And so every one of my family takes this because it's a necessity. So here's the thing. The benefit is this. It is one benefit, and it is the biggest benefit, and it is the benefit that everyone should really be focusing on. It's recovery, 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 recovery. If your body has the ability to recover, you have everything else to fall into place. You have energy, you have performance, you have cognitive ability, you have less aches and pains, you have less soreness, you have all of those, you have less vulnerabilities to diseases and illnesses. It's all about recovery, because your body has the ability to defend itself. It has the ability to, as you mentioned earlier about, right now what's going on with COVID-19. It's not the virus, it's the health of the host. How healthy are you? And depending on how healthy you are, that's how vulnerable that you're going to be. It doesn't matter if you're 70 years old, doesn't matter if you're 30 years old. If you're someone who is not healthy, that means you are immune compromised. If you're immune compromised, that means that you will be at risk of anything. Now, how resilient is your cell going to be? Well, that is recovery, because you're going to take in the stress, and then you're going to have to deal with it as stress, and then you're going to have to recover from that stress. Those individuals that don't have the ability to recover from that inevitable stress, what ends up happening? They're a notch down, and then they're another notch down, and then they're another notch down. And then somewhere down these notches, you're going to lose energy. You're going to be fatigued. You're going to be lethargic. And somewhere on the notch, you're then going to just be vulnerable to any type of trauma that you get, though for some reason you can't shake a cold. And then that cold turns into pneumonia, and then you get pneumonia, and then all of a sudden you get some fatality. That's really what this is, Brent, is that, you're going to begin to feel that your recovery is going to be better. Like, you're going to feel like, wow, I didn't have to take 2 days off after my workout. Yeah. Wow, I felt like I went into the office, and I feel like Monday through Friday through Saturday, like I was on it, man. Usually on Thursday, I'm feeling tired. And by the way, Brent, a professional athlete has no different stress than my sister does. The body doesn't discriminate. It doesn't understand that this is a 40-yard dash or a Sunday football game, and this is going to the office and working for 5-6 hours. It's all about performance, and then it's about how can you perform at that highest level next. It's all about recovery.
So stress is stress.
Stress is stress. It doesn't matter. My mom was diabetic, and so she had more stress than an athlete does.
Right.
And the reason why is because you're diabetic. Your body's fighting all day. It doesn't even quit. It doesn't even get an off day or a training day or a recovery day. It's fighting all day. So her stress is worse.
I've been taking Within now for, I guess, 3 months, a little over 3 months. And I feel like it's my secret weapon. And as I mentioned, I play drums, and I play drums a lot, all the time. And I'll sit down and I'll play for an hour and a half or 2 hours. We play live shows, and I play hard. I like to hit my drums hard. And one of the things that I've noticed, there are two things. Recovery, absolutely. Like, I used to, like, after playing, and sometimes, we'll do 4-hour-long sets, and that's athletic performance for 4 hours, basically, for a musician, for a drummer especially. You're pounding away, and it would take me, the next day and 2 days later, I'd be like, oh man, I'm still sore from playing. I don't really experience that anymore. As you mentioned, my recovery time is super fast. But here's something else, and I want to ask you about this. I may be going nuts, but I really believe that I'm seeing this happen. I haven't been working out. I had an ankle injury from snowboarding the 1st of January, so the first day of 2020. And so I was in a boot for a couple of months. And so not that I work out anyway. I'm not a guy that goes to the gym, but I'm a hiker, I mountain bike, and I play drums. That's basically what I do. But here's something that I'm noticing. It seems to me that I'm able to put on more lean muscle, and I'm stronger from just playing drums. And the only thing that's changed in my life is the fact that I'm taking NMN in our product Within. Is that possible?
So it's interesting you say that, because earlier you were asking about the difference between NR and NMN. And there's a study that was done that showed that NMN was the only one that helped to increase vascularity in the muscle tissue and to bring greater oxygen and blood flow to the muscle tissue. And it worked way better than NR. And that directly relates to what you're saying. At the very end of the day, blood heals everything and blood neutralifies everything. And so if you can create greater blood flow to the muscle, and you can create that vascularity, that vasodilation in the blood, you will maintain muscle mass. You will maintain muscle mass, and which is building lean muscle. And the activities that you are doing, which are, it is a workout, right? Yeah, I may go to the gym and work out with weights, but you're still doing a lot of activity. It's the same type of activity. Again, the body doesn't know it's on a hike.
Right.
It doesn't know that it was hiking or it was squatting. It just knows that you were working the muscles. If you're stressing the muscle, you're building the muscle. As long as you bring all of the right nutrition to the muscle. And that's what NAD and Within has the ability to do, is to increase that circulation, which is what you want.
I'm certainly loving it. So we've talked about cellular health and your immune system, recovery time. I mean, right now we're going through this whole COVID-19 thing. There's a virus going around. We want to make sure we have the immunity. We want to make sure that we have the ability to fight things off. And Within definitely does that. But let's talk about something else that's a huge movement, which is really one of the main reasons that we wanted to develop this product with you. There's this big movement going around. It's this anti-aging thing, or more importantly, longevity. And some scientists are saying, listen, you're going to be able to live into your hundreds, 120, 130, maybe even 150 within the next 30, 40, 50 years. And that's right around the corner. What's your take on that?
There's no question, there's definite science that has shown that cells have the ability to live that long. The cellular regeneration cycle, the process, allows the body to live past 120, 130. Some even say as long as 180. But here's the thing. What you have to do is you have to create the environment that allows those cells to live and not be stressed in such a manner that they're overwhelmed and they die before they should. And see, that's the problem. We put so much stress on our bodies or on our cells. And do remember, the cell is the fundamental unit of the body, so you're putting stress on the cell. Whether it's the way that we eat, the way that our lifestyles are, the physical, the psychological, all that sort of stuff. And then there's no defenses outside of what the body has to give. And most of the time you're compromising those defenses because you're not feeding it the right nutrients, right? Listen, you're not going to be immortal. So that's not the thing. And that's why anti-aging, it isn't anti-aging as much as it is, how do you prevent the accelerated aging?
Graceful aging.
We're accelerating our aging.
Yeah,
so how do you prevent that? And that is encompassed in the word of anti-aging. Well, if you know that there's certain nutrients that the body is unable to produce because of the stresses that you've placed on it early on, you would want to supplement with that. Because if you've seen times in which your lifespan, in which when you did have enough of those nutrients, you shown these types of resiliency, this type of strength, this type of longevity, then you would want to take that. Well, that's the premise behind NAD. Right. It's saying, listen, I'm going to give these cells what it's lacking, and when I give it, it sees these types of benefits.
It's just incredible. I mean, we're seeing studies come out of Harvard. We're seeing studies come out of MIT. I mean, it almost seems sci-fi, but it's not. It's scientific. And the cool thing that I think is, a lot of times when you hear longevity and living to 150, people think, I don't want to get old and frail and be stuck here. But that's the whole point with these supplements and Within. No, the point is, and science is saying this, live to your 120 in a body like you're 50, or a body like you're 60, a healthy, vibrant body. And I think that's an important point. This isn't like suffering till you're 150. This is about being vibrant, being alive.
That's a huge point. Everyone always talks about life expectancy when they should be talking about life quality, right? The quality of life, not the quantity of life. And so if you think about it, okay, let's say that, the average age for a male is around that 80 mark, 76 to 80 years old is life expectancy or whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so let's imagine that you could get to 80 feeling like you're 50 right now. How do you extend that feeling out another 30 years? So imagine if you said, okay, well, I could live to 130, that's cellular aging, but I could actually go from 0 to 100 feeling like I was 50. You see, that's what we should be striving for, is the quality of life. How can we take that time in our life in which we were older, but we still had a lot of performance in us, and we extended that out another 30 years? How much more could we do? How much more could we enjoy? How much more could we get excited? That's why you're doing all of these things. Yeah. Because you wouldn't be taking Within and investing into Within if you didn't want to have that. And here's the problem though, Brent, is that most people don't realize that's what they want until it's too late. Like my dad, last 10 years or 15 years, he listens to everything that I say. If I tell him to drink 32 ounces of water with a little drop of Celtic salt, the 32 ounces drop of Celtic salt. If I tell him to eat this way, I said, 20 years ago? No, he wasn't listening all to me, but you know what? He sees the horizon.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point, Sanjeev, because I wasn't thinking about longevity and health when I was in my 20s. But if we would have had this, and I would have started taking it in my 20s and had this knowledge that you're sharing with us, man, I would be in so much better shape right now. And so I think it's really important, because I know there's a lot of people who are in their 20s and 30s that are watching this that probably haven't been thinking about longevity and cellular health and protecting themselves. The sooner you start, the better you are.
No question. And you know what? It's really difficult. I've been doing this for, 15 years, trying to tell people, about preventative medicine and about, doing things before it's too late. And it's tough. It really is tough. See, it's easy for me to do all of the things that I do because every day I see emails, I take phone calls, I'm doing research, and I'm seeing the evidence of not doing those things. Yeah. And if everybody saw that, Brent, there'd be no question that someone would say, oh yeah, of course I'm going to take Within. Of course I'm going to of course I'm going to take care of myself. Of course I'm going to drink the water. It's just the problem is because you don't see this. You may feel like you don't have enough cognitive performance, and all of a sudden you take Within and you feel like, wow, I feel clean. I feel fresh. I feel, man, well, holy cow, that was the least of your issues. That was a symptom that you had. Right. So that means you must have had something going on really deep that was bad, and it just bubbled up to the top, and you felt like you had a little brain fog in the morning. Mm-hmm. And now you think, oh, hey, listen, you know what? I just got rid of my brain fog. No, buddy, you didn't get rid of your brain fog. You finally addressed some root issue that was probably going to cause you to have some major, major issues down the road.
That's great information and great advice. Well, Sanjeev, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us tonight. I know you've helped so many people with your knowledge and your wisdom, your experience. I've certainly learned a ton from you. So my friend, thank you very much. I do appreciate you.
Oh, you're very welcome, Brent. Thank you so much. I'm so excited about Within, and I know that it can help a lot of people. And I know with the work that you're doing and the whole community and family you're creating, huge things are going to happen with you and your team and with Within.
I believe so too. And I appreciate your belief, and I appreciate your contribution. We're all in this together. For sure. Folks, there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We certainly appreciate you being here. Listen, get out there and live, stay informed, stay strong. And if you're going to go for it, well, go all in. Thank you much. I'm Brent Payne. Take care.